Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, feeling swell, feeling blessed, no matter where you are. I'm coming on today. If you clicked on this video, we're going to talk about something that's very important for those that are staring and stepping on the precipice moment of their lives. So, what this moment is when do you start to break out? When do you start to stop planning your existence and get on God's plan, which is the no plan? If I had known this, I may have chose differently in the past. But unfortunately, like I said, God's plan is the no plan for a reason. Always in our non-spiritual existence, and trust me, I could speak to this, spend a lot of our days and our nights worrying about all the things we can do for this elusive plan or plans that we have in our hearts or wants or wishes. Simply because the main focus is always that we, as the individuals, as humans, we have control. And what I want to share with you is something very beautiful, because I know that in my past life, when I was not on my spiritual path, I always felt like I can control the outcomes of certain things, or I desperately tried to force things into being. And I always had these inner wants and inner wishes in my heart, and I'll tell you what they were. So when I was working like a dog, the 9 to 5 or the 9 to 7, whatever it was, I always wish I had more time for friends. I always wish I had more time for, family. I always wish that I could live a more easy life, vacation when I wanted. Um, there were smaller things like having time to take care of my home, having time to do DIY projects. There was this want to be on this baseball team that was in my park by my house because I was spending so much time driving around Toronto on another league. I'm giving you these analogies, and not even analogies. These were my true wants and my true supposed plans, and I always wanted a car, and I always wanted certain clothes, and I always wanted to be seen in certain lights and have all those things. And those were my mental plans for myself ongoingly when I lived in that previous non-spiritual Ashley plan, but not God's plan. And this is the false belief that we can control the universe, that we can force things into existence. And this illusion entraps us because the universe and God's plan is something that flows. And why I say it's the non-plan is because it's the first time. You have to understand, I was a meticulous thinker. I was someone who loved strategy games. I was someone who loved strategy. So for, God to come into my life and tell me, Ashley, cut this crap out. You're going to listen to the ebb and flow of the universe. You're just going to go where the wind takes you. You're just going to flow like a leaf on the river. It was one of the most hard things because I was the type of person that would plan my day from the minute I woke up to the minute I fell asleep. And to be now rearranged on a totally different metric system, be it the flow of the universe, be it God's plan, was something so hard. But I am here today to shake you guys up, because who knows, maybe I'm speaking forth for God to some of you right now, because some of you might be like, I'm exhausted from trying to curate a world and a plan that never seems to work out. And I wouldn't say never, but it exhausts you to even get that outcome or that manifestation to even come into being. So much so that you're just like, how much longer do I have to fight in this world? How many years do I have left here till I retire? You have all these questions because you're exhausted from fighting this current all the time. So what I'll say God's plan is like, I'm putting up a bridge here right now. God's plan is like a flow. Okay. And what I mean by flow, it means like when you're flowing, you're not thinking. When you're flowing, you're just participating. You're not really analyzing, and you're not really strategically mapping out where you're going. And I can say this wholeheartedly. Like, some of the best trips I've ever been on is when I got lost. Like, I was the type of person, I'd go to a region, and it took me maybe like 10 trips to realize this reality. And it was so much better when I didn't have a map, when I didn't have a plan, when I didn't have every step laid out, every accommodation figured out, when I didn't know all the different sites I was going to see that day. And when I would just stop, go out, get lost somewhere, I would meet the best people. I would meet the best situation. I would get to learn history about a region that I never would have learned about. So these analogies that I'm putting forth is exactly what you may be facing. It's like you're exhausted from having to curate everything. And this bridge that I'm putting is exactly what it's like to be on God's plan. Because you see here on the bridge, every step you take is not aligned. It's not already there. But you know that the minute your foot goes forward, that piece falls into place. And that's exactly what God's plan is like. I didn't embrace this before. I didn't. Now I can't even see myself being anything else. truly. Because now that I've been on the flow for the last couple years, almost everything, and I mean the things that I wanted. Remember that list I gave you at the beginning? That list of all the things my heart truly wanted out of life have come to pass or are coming to pass, all because I stepped into the I am that I am instance of the flow state that is God's plan. Oh, at the beginning, how this would all play out. And this is what I'm trying to say. The persons that I helped have learned and grown so tremendously that they become leaders in their own right. Okay. And those same leaders, and one of them in particular, has this beautiful studio called Unity Studio. And because of all the different channelings I've done for her, I have helped her get out of her own head, much like I had to get out of my own head. God and Yeshua had to coach me on this, and I hope I'm coaching you today on this, because when I stepped into my higher self and I started really listening, and all of you guys possess this, and you really listen to what you're being motioned to do with blind faith, you'll notice that that's like taking that step on that bridge without the step already laid out. And if you just take that first step, it makes all the difference. The main thing I want to stress is that what it's like is taking away the word can't and replacing it with the word won't. Because a lot of what I used to do, and I'm sure you guys do, is this. Somebody offers you an opportunity. Let's say you're working the 9 to 5 and somebody tells you, hey, about half an hour away, we've got a great job opportunity. You may have to take a pay cut, but you're going to get a better title, and there's a lot of possibility. The first things that come out of your mouth, some of you might say, hey, hell yeah, let's do this. But some of you might be like, oh, I can't. Oh, what's that going to do? Oh no, I can't drop my kids off at this daycare. I can't make it to this class after that point if I have an extra half an hour of driving. Oh, but it's such a great possibility. Oh, that would do well for me. Oh, but I can't. Now, please understand, I did this numerous times in my life. And it wasn't until I was on God's blind faith plan that I realized the true trick, or the true difference became when I realized it's not that I can't, it's that I won't. Because when you shift your energy to the I and realize it's I won't, because you have to understand, I can't is an actual, as Jean-Luc Picard would say, resistance is futile. Okay, because can't is a fluffy word. Can is always present and available. I can do this, right? Can't is actually a fluffy term, because the thing is, it intentions that you prohibit yourself from canning, if that makes sense. But really what you need to say, and really need to devise and understand what you're really doing with your energy, is you're I won'ting. I won't put my energy forth to this opportunity. I won't participate in this. I won't take this upon myself to do. Not that you can't, because the word I can is a definite, it's an eternal. That word I can't should always be replaced with I won't, because I feel like the word I can't is actually like an illusionary word that doesn't make sense, because there's never a point in time that you can't. I mean, unless the only way I could see is if you're somewhat in a disability or some form of disability, where someone says, can you run up this hill, and you're missing some limbs. The word I can't, because it's physical, right? But when you are not in any type of disability and you have all the plethora of opportunity afforded to you, that you have all availabilities, that word needs to change from I can't to I won't. That is the big difference. And that is something that I had to really realize once I was on this flow of path, that that's what I was doing all along. It wasn't that I couldn't, take this opportunity. It wasn't because I couldn't do this. I was saying I can't because I was scared. I was saying I can't because I didn't want to step into something better. And I know you might be thinking like, oh, what is this woman talking about? Why wouldn't you want something better? The reality becomes is that you won't because you're assured. You won't because it's actually something you feel like you can control. What you're dealing with right now, you can control. The newness or the opportunity is out of your control. And that's basically what the difference is between walking a spiritual path and actually moving towards, and I'm just giving this as an example, because some people might be like, okay, I'm not even there yet on a spiritual path. How do I shift my perception in this moment in time, in this modern day, right now, here now? Change the I can't and realize that you're really saying I won't. Because the minute that you say and realize yourself that you're not doing things because you won't do things, that's when you realize that I can't statement is a falsity. Because you're like, technically you can. Technically it's available. Technically I can't is a negative word that makes absolutely no sense. It is not abstract. It is fiduciarily incorrect, because you realize that won't, because you won't invest the energy, you won't invest the time to figure out something new and exciting or a different possibility. That's the true change. So that's what I want to say, because realistically, when I started on my path, there were so many things that God was asking me to do. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I can't quit my job. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it wasn't until I realized, no, I won't do it. And then as I started having more faith in myself, believing more in what I was capable of. And, we all struggle with this, but it's like I realized, I'm like, oh, I've been lying all along. I just wouldn't. I just won't. I always can, but I won't. And that true change made all the difference. And that's what brought me out of staying in this maniacal way of being where I actually thought I controlled or had a true designated plan. And when I started walking into God's plan, that's when everything changed. I started walking with blind faith. I started not planning anything. I started listening to my inner intuition. I started listening to my higher self's guidance. And all I did was move forward and get rid of the I can'ts and get rid of the I won'ts and say, I can. I can do this. I can do that. I can and I will. That was the only difference. That was the only change. At this moment in time, all my heart's desires through these last 2 years came to pass and are continuing to come to pass, because obviously as we manifest, we keep creating more manifestations to build. Like I'll explain why I say this, because last night was the first baseball game I had in my park. And I'm going to let you guys know, for 7 long years, maybe 10, okay, I always wanted to play baseball on the team that plays by my house. About 7 years ago, I started on a league that brought me all around Toronto. I used to be so stressed out. I love playing baseball, and I used to be so stressed out because I would be like leaving work at 5:30, 6 o'clock, downtown Toronto, crazy, crazy, crazy time. And then I'd have to go to these crazy places around Toronto, an hour. Really is a 20-minute drive, but with the traffic was like an hour, hour and a half sometimes. Run to these things, out of breath, totally, like rotted out and, upset with all the traffic I just interfaced with. And then I would end up at these games like half haggard and hazard. And then I'd get up on the field and play. And then by the time I finished playing, trust me, I had fun with my team. But today, yesterday, I got asked and propositioned by a neighbor of mine after all these long years. The only difference is that I put it into the ethers last year when I saw them. I said, you know what? It's about time, like, I find a way to get on this team. I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know what person ran it, And then my neighbor last year was away on vacation most of the time. And oddly enough, this year, my neighbor was here and he was like, hey, Ashley, he's like, my league that plays over here needs some women because we're short 2 women. Do you want to play? I didn't have to ask anything. All I did was come onto flow state, and now I'm on the team. And this is just one of many of my true wishes and wants and whines of the heart, you know what I mean, that I had from like maybe over a decade. My wheels on the road, finally got my car going. I've got my sights set for more with the business and stuff. And the thing is like, I'm so full of joy for the first time in my life. Like all through this period, like, me not knowing what the hell was in front of me and just going on God's plan was the best choice I ever made. Not because God's the best team to be on. Like, let's just be real, okay? Because God and the higher self and everyone knows what's best for you, even if you don't know what's best for you, okay? But realistically, it's like the minute I started walking into this, no matter how scared I was, trust me, I was scared. I was scared to leave my career, law clerking career, making 80 G's a year. Trust me, I was scared. I was scared to, start up new in a business I've never done. I was scared. I was scared to leave my ex and go back on the dating scene and be an alone mother. And trust me, when I say and I'm laughing, but you have no idea. Like, I make a lot of light of a lot of things, but I can honestly say, as I stand here right now, I never thought I would be here. I never thought I'd be smiling again. I'm sorry I'm tearing up, but this has to be said because there were days 2 years ago before this all happened, before I took that one leap of faith, that one change to stop planning my life, stop looking at all the negative and realize that God loved me and realize that I had something worthwhile for this world, that I would ever get out of that despair. And I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying tears of joy because only God made it happen. Me and God. So I'll keep sharing all the time how great it is to just live your bliss with God. Because that's what God really wants for all of us. God doesn't want us suffering. God doesn't want us striving for someone else's goals. God doesn't want us to give up all of our hopes and dreams and have them crushed by this world, this fake illusionary world. God wants us to step into his or her bosom and just say, hey, I'm here. Let me cradle you. Let me hold you. Let me help you. And I am so grateful that I am here right now. And I really hope that if you're at a stage right now, because God, trust me, God does ask a lot of us. God asks us some of the hardest things because all God's trying to show us is how to break out, how to stop depending on the I can'ts and start depending on the I cans. And yeah, sure, it's going to be hard. There's going to be days that you'll lose friends, you'll lose family, you'll lose society, you'll be shit upon, you'll be, tormented sometimes by those haters. And at the beginning, I'm telling you, that's the type of, what it felt like at the beginning? It felt like I was going through a tar pit with chains on me and weights at the ends of those chains because everything that I had to get through was so hard because that's what I did to myself. The illusion in the matrix that you have to break can be easy or it could be hard. It could be somewhere in the middle, but it just depends on how ingrained and in depth of fear you live in, how much you don't believe in yourself. That representation manifests in all of the trials and tribulations that God's going to ask you to go through. Some of you may not have as hard, but I bet you if you've been a human being, especially in North America, living all these falsities all of your life, you are not going to have an easy road home. And it's not because God's doing it to you. It's because it's all the challenges that you need to get through. It's like if you could think of it of like a marathon. These are all the things you need to go through in order to see you, in order to see your potential, in order to see where God's breath of life works within you. So I know I just teared up because I literally, when I was playing baseball yesterday, I stood there. I was like, what did my day consist of? I did a reading. I had to go look for tires for my new car. I got to play baseball with the team that I always wanted to be on. And when I woke up today, I was like, wow. I was like, look at me now. And this can be all of us. This can be all of us. I don't need much, okay? I'm one of those, the term, like, I'm happy as a pig and shit. Like that's me being able to have time with my son, me being able to have time with my mom, DUI projects, name it, to do everything I've ever needed to do, to take care of my home, not stress out, not do drugs, not drink, not all these things, just to live my life. Cope. That was the word, cope with our lives. I don't know how else to put this, but like just taking these steps in faith were the best things I've ever done. And if I can just share this with you and try, to inspire you to be that flame of ignition in your own life, because I'm telling you, it is not easy. None of this was easy. Like maybe now it's so much easier because I'm in the actual flow. I am that leaf on the river. And I don't even question where the next bend of that river is. But it's because of how much I see, in the hindsight. And I know that it's not easy. I just wanted to come on and say that because God's plan is something that finds you when you're ready. And I really pray that all of you that ever see this ask, what is my plan? What is my destiny? What is it that I'm supposed to do? And what I will say is it will always be terrifying what you hear back. Like, it'll be like, drop those people that don't love you. It'll be like, get away from those that abuse you. It'll be, leave that job that doesn't support you or doesn't give you any type of worth or doesn't give you any type of love. And all of these things in the seemingly may sound so ferocious to tackle. But I'm telling you, the one thing that kept me going or started me off was thinking, how good was it before? How good was it up until now? With all the plans I had and all the things I did to end up where I end up at 38 years old. I'm saying this was 2 years ago. To be 38, abandoned, losing my career, all these things, with all the plans, with all the things I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into, which were futile, completely futile. Because now I can honestly say I have my heart's truest desires. manifest. I don't have to exert myself. I don't have to overdo things. Sure, I work hard, but it's not in vain. It's not in vain. And that's the message I want to say, because I named this because this is what this journey is. It's God's plan. Everyone's got one. Everyone should work towards getting on it. And what I can say is change, I can't, and realize it's really I won't. Move it to I can. And know that if you close your eyes and that, path is laid out for you, even though each step is not there yet, as your eyes are closed and you lay your foot down, know that that step will be there, and that is God's plan. Love you guys lots. Sorry about the tears, but they are tears of joy. I hope you find them too. Bye for now.